All right, welcome out to Gabe Sports. It's Sunday evening here and watching some NFL. Actually, currently I'm watching the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. It's a pretty good game. New England giving them a little bit of a better game than I thought. And then waiting for tonight's uh, evening game as my Dallas Cowboys will take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to be a tough one. But we're not going to talk NFL. Uh, Today, right now on this podcast, I wanted to come on briefly and recap the NCAA, the games, the first round of the playoffs that took place. I've been excited at the start of the year because I knew these playoffs were going to come, and I read a lot of comments, and I listen to what a lot of people say online about some of the teams. They should be there, they shouldn't be there, and I'll give my thoughts on that as well. But I did want to first recap some of these games. On Friday, we had our first college playoff game. We had Indiana, number 10 Indiana, taking on number 7 Notre Dame. I wanted to see Notre Dame win this game. I thought they were the better team. They ended up getting the win, 27, I believe, to 17. There was a lot of talk about Indiana not playing anyone, and did they deserve to be there? Their records show they did. The two teams that were ranked beat them. So 27-17, but really, I don't think Notre Dame was ever in any danger of losing this game. I just thought Indiana was overmatched. When you look at Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, 23 of 32 for 201 yards. He had one TD, one interception. Jeremiah Love uh, in the running department, 8 carries, 108 yards, one TD. Jordan Faison, 89 yards on 7 receptions. So Notre Dame's defense, pretty good. And like I said, I didn't think that Indiana really had a shot to beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame will now move on and next week, and we'll see. The matchup will be a little tougher, and we'll see if Notre Dame can. I hope they do, but I think next week's going to be a little bit of a tougher match. Looking forward to the second round though. But that ends the season for the Indiana. So we'll see what happens. And then we go up to the next game now, and that was Penn State, number 6 Penn State taking on number 11 SMU. Some people thought SMU shouldn't have been there. They hadn't played anybody. I mean, 38-10. I mean, this game was all Penn State from beginning to end. SMU really struggled in this game. Couldn't really get much done at all. Um, when you look at the box scores for Penn State, Drew Alar, 13 of 20, 227 yards. Didn't even have a good game passing. The rushing was 189 total yards, 136. Penn State offensively really didn't shine out to me as far as numbers. It was more of SMU and the turnovers that they gave to Penn State. Kevin Jennings, a young quarterback, 20 of 36, 195 yards, had the 3 interceptions. They were huge for Penn State's defense. That's what won them the game. Really couldn't get much running with 58 total yards on 36 carries. And the pass was no better, 195 yards. So really, SMU had no shot of winning this game whatsoever. I thought Penn State was going to win the game, but the mistakes really made it a lot easier for Penn State. So Penn State now will move on to the next round here. That's going to be very interesting to see if they can win the next game. And then the next 2 games were really the ones that I really enjoyed and was really looking forward to seeing. And that was number 9 Tennessee taking on number 8 Ohio State. I thought Ohio State. I think I picked them to win, and I thought it was going to be a lot closer, and it was not. And there were. I was thinking, all 2 weeks or whatever it was, Ohio State was hearing how they lost to Michigan, and that was a bad loss. And I said it myself, it was a bad loss, right? Because like Michigan was struggling, and this was the year that Ohio State had the better team, and they should have won, and they didn't. And so Ryan Day and those coaches and those players, they heard it uh, all throughout the week leading up to this game, right? And I said, if Ohio State loses this game to Tennessee, Ryan Day should be fired. And I believe that, losing to Michigan, it doesn't matter what your record is, right? You couldn't beat a struggling Michigan team this year, which was a bad loss. You got to win those games. But then if you come into the playoffs, right, because you didn't play in the championship game, but you still have a chance. That's the beauty of making the playoffs, right? You still have another shot. Because I'll tell you, if Ohio State wins it all, then that loss to Michigan won't people won't talk about it anymore, right? It'll be a forgotten thing because they won the championship. So there's still a way to me that if Ohio State wins, then no one's going to be talking about the loss to Michigan because you were the last team standing, you were the best, right? So if they win the championship, um, all is forgiven and forgotten, right? But um, I said if Ohio State comes in this first round and they lose to Tennessee, I think Ryan Day will get fired. And I don't know if that would have been true, but I would have thought there would have been a good possibility. At least he would be on the hot seat for sure. Um, but for Tennessee, a good team, they Ohio State played at a different level, right? Like they came out and they had something to prove. That loss, they heard it. So Tennessee never, looking at the way Ohio State came out, never had a chance. I don't think any team that would have played Ohio State in this game would have beaten Ohio State. They were just great. And after coming off that loss to Michigan and hearing all of the stuff that was being said about them, right? They were going to come out and win this game. It didn't matter who the other opponents were. And so for Tennessee, unfortunate, it was them. And this game was over in the first quarter, right? Like Ohio State just played great. If this Ohio State team continues to play this way, no one's going to beat them, I don't think. Um, but Tennessee did make it closer before halftime, where it looked like possibly they could possibly get things going in the second half, but that didn't happen. Ohio State gets the big win, 42-17. I think I picked Ohio State, but man, they were great. I mean, Will Howard, 24-29, 311 yards, two TDs. He did have that one interception. And then Jeremiah Smith, six receptions, 103 yards. They were passing the ball all over the place. I mean, this team they were great. Again, I'll say that if they play this way the rest of the playoffs, I don't think anyone's going to beat them. I mean, they were just like really good. And so Tennessee just didn't have a shot, man. They're a good football team, but just played Ohio State at a time when Ohio State was going to beat any team they played. So we'll see moving forward. Ohio State has a tough game coming up in week two, or the playoff week two, round two, I should say, against Oregon, and that's going to be a great game. Looking forward to that game. I saw the first meeting that they had where Ohio State took a 1 point loss. Man, that was a great game. Just didn't slide in time to try to kick that field goal. But I think this matchup between Ohio State and Oregon is going to be really good, and I'm looking forward to that. I still haven't made my picks. You can go to Gabe Sports Facebook page or Twitter page, and you can see I have the polls up for round two, and you guys can just go in there and make your pick, make your selection on who you think is going to win Ohio State or Oregon. But it's going to be a great one. And then you go to the game. I watched these two games, and then I watched this one too. Number 5 Texas taking on number 12 Clemson. I thought that Texas playing at home would win this game. I didn't think there was a possibility that they could lose. I didn't know if they'd win big or if it would be close, but I knew I just knew that Texas was going to win. I just didn't see Clemson coming into this game and having a chance to win. They made it interesting, though, very interesting. Clemson. I didn't know a lot about Gabe Klubnik, this kid from Westlake here in Texas. I mean, man, quarterbacks here in Texas. I mean, they're great. They go to the next level from high school to go to college, and a lot of them end up going to the NFL, and they're either starters up there or they're backups. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray. I mean, there's a couple of other ones out there that they're from the state of Texas. So Cade Klubnik played great. I didn't really know a lot about him. I do now, but he was 26 of 43 for 336 yards, three TDs, one interception. He's the junior uh, quarterback for Clemson. But I'm telling you, man, that guy, he played great. And against a defense that's pretty darn good in Texas Longhorns, playing them on the road, that's a great quarterback. That's a good quarterback. And he, gave his team a chance to win. Unfortunately, for Clemson, the defense, couldn't stop Texas's offense. Not so much the passing, but the run game, which I think you need to be able to run. That's how Texas is going to win in the playoffs. And that's exactly, I think, how they can be the last team standing. They can't win too many games just on the pure pass. They're going to get the receivers are good and Quinn Ewers is good, but you got to run the ball. You can't run 30 something 40 total yards a game and try to beat these good teams with just a pass. I mean, you saw against Georgia, when they stopped the run, field goals aren't going to beat those teams. So the run game to me is important, and Texas was able to get the running game going. They're both running backs over 100 yards. Quinn Ewers was 17 of 24 for 202 yards, one TD, the one interception. But it was the run game that really helped them win this game. Jaden Blue, 14 carries, 146 yards, two TDs. Quintravian Wisner, 15 carries, 110 yards, two TDs. So, that was key for Texas in their win against Clemson. Although I got to tell you, Clemson gave it more of a game than I thought. I mean, look, I was really surprised at what Clemson could do to the Texas defense to a point that kind of worries me in the Arizona State game. I mean, I'll give my predictions on next week and two, but I didn't think that Clemson could make it closer. I mean, 38-24, people would look at that and see the game. Well, they won pretty big, but it got close within one score. But Clemson could not stop the run game. And it was the run game that won it for Texas. And moving forward, that's what I think you need to do. Look, I've been on the record. Well, I'm not on the record, but I've talked to a lot of people. I think for Texas to win the championship, I think Arch Manning has to have a bigger role. Now, I'm not saying that Quinn Ewers has to, you have to bench him for Arch Manning and put Arch in there. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen while Quinn Ewers is healthy and can play. I mean, he's got to be the guy that gets you there. But I think Sark has to get Arch more involved in just coming in one play, handing it off, or running the ball, one playing it out. He's got to be more impactful. Look, we're talking about the run game that will win the game for Texas, right? Well, you've got Jaden Blue and Wisner now. But remember, Arch Manning, he can run as well. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on the defense because Quinn doesn't run as good as Arch does, right? He just doesn't. And for defenses, you don't know. You know that Arch has the capability of running the ball. And then you have these two running backs. And so the defense don't know who's going to get the ball. There's more of a threat. Now, when Arch is in there, do they let him throw the ball? I don't know. He hasn't done too much of that. It's been pretty much run. But I think when Arch is in there, that defense don't know who's going to get the ball, right? Like you've got to, you can't just commit to the run because you don't know who's going to get it. Arch holds on and he takes off. Look, if you come after him and you don't get him, he's going to burn you and he's going to take off. He's more dangerous in the run game than Quinn. I just don't know if they would let him throw the ball. I mean, I don't know how all that plays out, but I think that with the run game and knowing that how Texas can win by being productive in the run game, I'm just saying Arch Manning gives you another threat in the run as a quarterback on top of these two guys that you have. So defenses just have to be more alert. I think that opens it up for these two guys and Arch. And so, am I saying that, he has to be the starting quarterback? Absolutely not. Quinn Ewers has earned that. And I think, he needs to be the quarterback moving forward. But I think you have to try to get Arch Manning involved more in the game somehow than just bringing them in every now and then to either hand it off for one play and then out. He's got to be able to fill the game as well, because I think he's another weapon that's very healthy that can help Texas. And those defenses know that Arch can run. And so that just puts more pressure. And I think it helps the run game. So we'll see how things work out. But I think they didn't need Arch in this game, but moving forward, we'll see about Arizona State next week. But the run game is important, and I just think that Arch Manning can also be a big value to Texas as another quarterback that's a threat in the run game more than Quinn Ewers. And so again, that was great. Look, I really enjoyed the first round of the playoffs. I didn't know how things were going to play. I was excited the whole day, watching Texas advance. That was a great game with Clemson. I really enjoyed that game. That was a very competitive game. Ohio State and Tennessee, not very competitive, but Tennessee, Ohio State playing at a different level. And then Penn State just running over SMU and Notre Dame in Indiana. So, you kind of knew these teams were going to win. You knew Penn State, at least I knew Penn State was going to win. Notre Dame was going to win. I had it up in the air with Ohio State, Tennessee, and then I thought Texas was going to win. So, I mean, that was great to see. Now, you kind of move forward to next week, Tuesday, actually the 31st, on New Year's Eve. You got number 3 Boise State and number 6 Penn State in the quarterfinal playoff game, the Fiesta Bowl. That's going to be good. I still haven't made my picks yet, but I think that's going to be good. Let's see if Penn State can beat Boise State. I'll break that game down here in a couple of days. And then Wednesday, January 1st, number 4 Arizona State, number 5 Texas. That's the Peach Bowl. That's going to be it's going to be a good game. I do have Texas already, I can tell you that, but I'll break that game down more. I think Texas should beat Arizona State, but we'll, like I said, we'll talk about it more in depth throughout this upcoming week. And then you got a game that I think is going to be great. I want to see that. And that's number 1 Oregon taking on number 8 Ohio State. These guys met during the regular season, and it was a great game to watch. I think it's going to be another good one. And so I'll make my predictions on them, but right now I think that's going to be a great game. And then you got Notre Dame, number 7 Notre Dame taking on number 2 Georgia. So it's going to be good, man. I love the playoffs. I think it's great for college football. I never really liked the 4 games. I kind of like the format of like the NFL, more playoff games. Injuries occur at times too, but I just like the way this goes, because then we're going to have another game after this upcoming week, and then you'll have the championship game, right? So I love football. I love the 12 team. I'm glad that college went to that. When you talk about some of the teams, we were having a conversation this morning about SMU, and should they have been there, and Indiana, should they have been in there, and Boise State, and all of that other stuff, and then strength of schedule. And we've talked about this for the last 2 weeks with football guys that I know at work, and then I've heard everyone on TV talk about it. Look, I think it's the first year. I think they're going to look at a lot of things. I will say this. I rather had seen Milroe in Alabama play, right? I think that would have been more competitive, because Milroe, one of the best quarterbacks in college, for the Alabama Crimson, the Tide, and sitting down watching it at home like I did, not a lot of fun, right? I understand that, they lost 3 games. Their strength of schedule is a little tougher. I mean, you lose to Oklahoma. I don't think they were ranked at the time. It's a bad loss, but that's going to happen to football players. It happens in the NFL, right? They lose to teams all the time, good teams that they shouldn't lose to, but they get to play another week and still make the playoffs. So, should they consider strength of schedule a little bit more? I think they should, after watching this week's game, because for me, I would have liked to have seen Milroe play, man, in Alabama. I think it would have been more competitive against any of these teams that they would have played. And then you got Miami and Cam Ward up there, another good quarterback that I think would have been more competitive in these games, whoever they would have matched up with in these games, right? So two quarterbacks just off the top of my head that are good quarterbacks, very athletic, with good teams that I would have loved to have seen in the playoffs, but didn't make it, and we're sitting out watching like I was. I don't know. I don't know. I would have loved to have seen them, but again, this is the way they did it this year. Obviously, I think they're still going to take a look at a lot of things going into the next year's playoff, and we'll see what happens. Right? We'll see how much, if anything, changes with strength of schedule. I mean, I'm not saying SMU didn't belong there. I mean, their record was great. Obviously, they couldn't compete against one of the bigger schools. Indiana, same way, right? Was never in the game with Notre Dame. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Like I said, those two quarterbacks I would have loved to have seen in the playoffs, because I think they're two of the better quarterbacks in college football today. So not seeing Milroe and Ward in there, a little disappointing. But again, nothing's perfect when you do this. It's a work in progress. So we'll see how next year goes. But we still got a lot of college football left. And next week, man, there are going to be some great games. Again, go to Gabe Sports. That's on Facebook and Twitter. I put the polls up there. Definitely vote. And we can have dialogue and conversations through the comment sections, man. But look, I love this. I'm going to be coming out. Gabe Sports is more about college sports, professional sports, where we'll talk NFL. I love the NBA. I love talking NBA, and we're going to get into that. MLB. I know the season's over, but all of these, trades that are happening. My Houston Astros. Alex Bregman. Is he going to be an Astro? Is he not going to be an Astro? We can get into conversations about that and what the Astros are doing and what next season is going to look like. So we'll talk MLB, NBA, we'll talk the NFL, some UFC, some boxing. I love WWE. I watch SmackDown. I watch Raw. I love talking about the entertainment, the wrestling. And then we talk college too, which is football, basketball, boys and girls, baseball, softball. Really get into softball, college softball. I love that. A little bit of volleyball. I'm starting to get into now. The Texas Lady Longhorns were knocked out early this year, but we talk about a lot of stuff, and so what I want to do with this is just kind of pick up dialogue and just it's just really giving my opinion, right? Just talking because I love sports and giving on this podcast. I don't want to stand up in front of a camera and just talk because I've got no one coming in. It's just me, so I can put this on audio, and you can hear it if you choose to, and maybe we get some dialogue. That's what's really good about sports. It's just debating. I read a lot, and I follow a lot, and so I'm not always right on my predictions. I'm not always right on my opinions, but they are my opinion, and I respect other opinions. So just trying to pick up some dialogue and see as we go and talk all these sports and kind of get your ideas if you want to chime in and get a little dialogue with me. And I'd be more than glad to tell you what I feel and why I feel the way I do. But it's really a lot of fun just talking sports, man. And I also do high school stuff. I have other podcasts and live streaming that we do. So for me, it's it's sports 24/7 all year long, man, and I love it. There's days that I get a little overwhelmed, and I'll take an evening off or a day off just to kind of get away from sports, kind of regroup. I'll watch a movie or watch comedy or something, and then the very next day I'm right back refreshed and ready to go again. But I love talking sports, and we do high school and all, and so that's just kind of where I'm headed now. But again, this episode was just about the college first round playoffs. They were great. And again, you can catch the polls on the Gabe's Facebook, Gabe Sports Facebook and Twitter page. And in this podcast, you'll also catch it on Gabe Sports. I'll actually upload it to the Facebook and my Twitter page. It'll also be on Spotify and Pocket Cast. So you can also hear the audio version on Spotify and Pocket Cast on top of my social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter, Gabe Sports. So again, just wanted to come out, and in about 30 minutes, my Cowboys will be playing. So I'll be chilling out and watching the Cowboys. And then tomorrow, during the holidays, I'm going to be talking more coming on in the late afternoon, early evenings, and I'll break down the NFL, and then we'll talk some NBA as that's coming up as well. And then in the NFL, we've got 3 games coming up on Christmas Day. Got 2 games, I think, coming up Christmas. So not a lot of time. So every day, I'll come out and we'll talk, and maybe we'll throw football and basketball in there, and then we'll throw some baseball. If there's some topics that you want to talk about, let me know. Like I said, baseball season's over, but a lot of stuff going on, a lot of players being moved out of a team going into the other team. In college football, it's always interesting because of the portal now, right? And so there's a lot of things that go on. The transfer portal, kids moving out. I'm reading already where kids are transferring out, or they're going to transfer out to another school. And so that's something else that we can talk about and see what's going on. And look, we still haven't even touched on Bill Belichick, right? And he's going to the University of North Carolina. That's very interesting because now you've got Deion Sanders at Colorado. I think he had a great season this year. Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, probably going to go. Those two are going to go top 5 to the NFL. Now you bring in Bill Belichick to North Carolina. So there's going to be a lot of talk going into next season, how that's going to look, and kids want to go play, right? They want to go play for Deion Sanders. They want to go play for a Bill Belichick, an established coach in the NFL. So no one really expected Bill to be in college. There were no talk. So he kind of surprised everybody when he took the job. But what is that going to look like moving forward? And now you got Michael Vick getting into the coaching, and will he be up in college in a couple of years? So just a lot to talk about. This is what makes podcasting so interesting, because you kind of get to throw your opinion out there on what you think. Look, on this podcast, I try to stay as truthful as I can. I don't like putting out rumors. I don't like stirring stuff up that isn't going to happen. My opinions come based on what I read and what I think is going to happen. Some of it may be facts on what I did read, what came out, but a lot of it is just my opinion on what I think is gonna happen. But it's just a lot of fun in being able to talk about it. And look, kids are gonna want to play for Bill Belichick. I think I would. Kids are gonna want to play for Deion Sanders. So when they move out of schools, the kids want to follow the coaches. So I don't know if there's a lot of I'm committed to the school as much as am I committed to the coach. So there's still a lot to talk about. So even when the season ends on football or basketball, there's still a lot of stuff that goes on that throughout the off season we can talk about and get your thoughts on what we think is happening in the world of sports. So thank you very much again. This podcast is all about Gabe Sports, and it's basically professional college sports. And we just kind of talk, recap games, preview upcoming games. I give my opinion on what I think is going to happen, and then we go from there. So just wanted to come out, usually about 12, 15 minutes. Sometimes it can go 20 to 30 minutes, but just wanted to come out here. It was great first round of the playoffs, and looking forward to the second round of quarterfinals. I think it's going to be very interesting, and who's going to get to the semis, we'll definitely find out. But some good games. I'll be back tomorrow, talk a little bit more. We'll get into the NFL and recap. I think it's week 16 of the NFL, and then we'll talk a little bit more about college, see what's happening in college news as far as we get prepared for the quarterfinal playoff, for the second round of the college playoffs. And then we'll get into some NBA and MLB, what's going on there, and so forth. So a lot to still talk about moving forward this week, and then Christmas. Obviously, I won't be on Wednesday, and then I'll be back on Thursday. So remember, just check out Gabe Sports Facebook, Twitter page. Definitely vote. When you get an opportunity, definitely check out my podcast. It's called Gabe Sports. This is professional college sports. And you can catch it on my Facebook and Twitter page, Gabe Sports, or you can go to Spotify. If you go to Spotify, it's on Gabe Sports, I believe, Spotify. And I have to let you know, I think it's GT Sports. I'll let you know. And then also you can catch it on Pocket Cast. Thank you very much. And for you guys that are going to watch the evening game of Dallas Cowboys in Tampa Bay, good luck to my Dallas Cowboys. I hope they get the win, but I think it's going to be a very tough game. There's a good feeling I have that Tampa Bay is going to walk out of there. I hope I'm wrong, but I think they got a good shot of winning it. There's a lot of injuries to the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm hoping that they win. But if they don't, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, thank you very much, and I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk more college. We'll recap the NFL Week 16, and we'll talk NBA and MLB. Until then, man, have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.